Welcome everybody to Wednesday or Thursday. Full transparency, I was supposed to record this earlier in the week. We were supposed to go on a camping trip, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, but none of that happened. And so here we are on Thursday, and Woo Wednesday still isn't posted. So I want to work that into this week's theme because I think it is a really good representation of what this energy is all about. So I got swept up in the whirlwind of something really beautiful, and I'm really excited to lean into this and to share this with everybody. The concept of weird came alive for me in my business, in my personal life, and my origin story poured out of me. This is something I've been working on pretty much for the last 2 months. And I rode that creative current all day long yesterday. I had every intention of sitting down to record, it just didn't happen. And honestly, when we think about embodying these energies and working through each week's theme, that's exactly what I did. I embodied this week's theme of rooting in the body. I followed this like hell yes in my body. And yes, I had these like, oh, I should be doing this and I should be doing that. But I stayed in the flow and I honored that rhythm within myself and I followed that hell yes. And I let that take me deeper instead of overriding with what I should be doing or what I could be doing, right? So today I'm showing up, no makeup, yard work clothes, because we actually have materials being delivered to, we're expanding our fire pit. um I, you get me in my raw glory today because presence matters more than being polished, than being perfect. And I hope that this serves as a reminder that you don't have to be ready to be real. You don't have to be perfect to be powerful. And really, you just have to show up in your truth. And that is what we're going to do today. So this week's theme, once again, is rooting in the body, and it's an invitation to stop being up here in the upper chakras. It is a chance to take these vibrations and these hums and these energies that move through the heart space, which is where the upper and the lower worlds meet, and to pull them down and root them in reality. So we're going to stop floating above life and we are going to stop bypassing and outsourcing these truths that are within us, or performances that we think we have to put on, or expectations that we think we have to meet. And we're going to come down into the grit, into the grief, into the beauty of being in this physical reality, because that's what we came here to do, to be in this physical reality. When I sat and I thought about rooting into the body, one of the first things that came to mind for me was the identity shifts that I have gone through since 2018. And a lot of times I talk about false identities and shedding these false identities, and that sounds great, but what does it actually mean? So I'm going to give you my personal example. One of the first ones that I consciously and awarely, fully aware, stepped into and shed for myself, that actually changed the trajectory of my life. So when was it last week? I think it was last week. I woke up, I think it was Thursday, so a week ago. I woke up and I was just intensely irritated. My whole being just was on edge. I was being very short with my family. Truth be told, I was not the greatest mom that day. I was not a very nice person to Rúna or to Adrian several times throughout the day. And that really caught me off guard because I haven't been like that in a very long time, which tells me something was off. And also, I recognized that I had been biting the inner part of my cheek between the middle of my lip and like back here. So like this general region, I had been biting the inner part of my cheek. And I never noticed it while I was chewing it, but I noticed afterwards there's like some rawness in there. And I'm like, what is this all about? And then I felt some really deep emotions that caught me off guard that I've never really experienced before or allowed myself to experience. Maybe I have, and I just like shoved them down. But all of these things combined were invitations for me to look at what was going on. My body was sending me messages, chewing my lip. That's not normal. And to do it when you're not even aware of it, that's definitely not normal. And so I caught the awareness like, okay, I've got this rawness in my mouth. What's going on? And I started to observe when I was doing it. And then I followed from there. I kind of pulled the thread on why I think I might be doing it. And then, the anger, I talked about the anger, and I knew something was off there because I've done a lot of work since 2023 to give my anger a new job, to allow anger to only exist in those situations where anger is really warranted instead of converting everything to anger. And in this moment, I very well could have beat myself up and be like, oh, you've slipped back into old patterns, like what's wrong with you? And I didn't do that. I allowed it to communicate to me. I allowed it to be a messenger. What is my anger trying to tell me? What is my anger trying to protect me from? Anger is a protector. What is it trying to protect me from? Why is the shield up? Why is the sword drawn? What's going on? And by giving myself space to ask myself these questions, I was able to get to the root of what my body was trying to help me understand. So I traced all of these things, the irritation, the lip chewing, the anger. I traced all of those back to grief, to unmet needs, and to a desire to be loved in my rawness, not necessarily by anybody else, but to be seen by myself and accepted by me. And once I recognized that, I was able to give space to each of those desires, the grief, the wanting to be held and seen, all of that. I was able to give myself space and grace for that. And in doing so, a lot of those things dissipated, which was really great. And it was not easy to get there, but it was a really good practice in observing and in being the witness and yielding, um, which leads me to my next example. We were supposed to go camping on Tuesday. We were supposed to leave to go camping. We were going to go up to Sleeping Bear Dunes, which is a really beautiful area. And we'd been watching the weather. Day to day, it was changing. And one day it was raining, the next day it wasn't. And it was just like this constant, ever evolving, are we going? Are we not? Are we going? Are we not? So the morning of, we looked at the weather, and instead of being partly cloudy and decent the whole week, it was now going to be raining the whole week. And we said, yeah, no, we're not going camping. It's just not going to happen. I have an autoimmune Raynaud's that would probably be flared the entire time, and that's just not. And we had no way to be warm. Firewood doesn't really work when it's raining, and it just wasn't going to happen. So we decided to stay home, but we told Runa we would take her to the air zoo in Kalamazoo, and that's something that we've been talking about. She was excited to go, so we kind of leaned into that. We leaned into this pivot, and we allowed ourselves to take off and go to Kalamazoo. And when we got there, we went through most of the museum and did a lot of the interactive displays and all that kind of stuff. And Runa was having a pretty good time. And then towards the end, we walked around this corner, and there were these flight simulators where you could sit in these pods and fly an airplane. And these pods moved as if you were in an airplane. It was a pretty cool thing, actually. And you didn't even have to pay for it, which is cool, as part of the ticket. And so we told her, oh, let's go check this out. And we get up there, and she's not tall enough. There's a 48-inch height requirement. to participate in the simulator, and that just broke her. She was already disappointed that we weren't going camping, and this child loves camping. But now we have a secondary source of disappointment that just crushed her. And so, if you know anything about disappointment, we can name it. We can say, yep, we're disappointed, but it claws its way back. And boy, did it claw its way back. And she exploded. Then as we were trying to calm her and say, you know what, we'll come back next year and like we'll try this again, one of the workers that were running the simulator, there was nobody there. They're like, hey, you know what, she can't get in the pod, but we have these practice joysticks that she can use outside of the pod that people, while they're waiting in line, will use just to kind of like get used to using the joysticks. And that satisfied her for a little while, and she was happy with that. And while she was doing that, Adrian got in the pod, and then I got in the pod. I ended up having to get out of the pod like after 30 seconds because I thought I was going to throw up. That's not the point though. So as we were getting ready to walk away from this area, Rúna really lost it. Like the grief of not being able to do it, and that disappointment just really hit her. And I was faced with a choice. I grew up in an environment where these types of emotions, disappointment in general, was not given space to be what it was. It was turned into ammunition. It was turned into a way to retaliate and to punish, or to, you know, somehow push it back to where it came from. And I don't want my daughter doing that growing up, because not only is that uncomfortable to witness, but it's insanely uncomfortable and hurtful to be on the receiving end of that. And I don't want to create an environment where that happens. And so I had a choice to make. I could feel my own frustration rising. I could feel my own irritability rising. And so I took a moment, I took a breath, and I looked at her, and she's got big alligator tears, and I just let her have a moment. She was very angry, and just like spewing these things like, this makes me so mad, and I hate this, and this is so stupid, and like that kind of stuff. Like typical frustrated, disappointed type of anger. But I reminded myself that anger is a messenger. And her heart was broken. Why would I punish her for that? Why would I try to shut that down? And so I gave her a space to let it out. I rooted in my body so that I could be calm in her chaos. And that made all the difference. We wrote it out for a few minutes, and we ended up getting ready to leave this area, and a woman was like, hey, has she been over there yet? I think she'd really love it. I'm like, I didn't even know there was, like, we haven't made it that direction yet. She goes, take her over there. I think she'll really love it. And I was like, okay. She's like, it's more her age. And I was like, all right, cool, we'll walk over there. And as soon as we took maybe 10 or 15 steps, Runa's face lit up. And I was like, what is she seeing that I haven't seen yet? And it was a whole area of kiddie rides that she was of height to do on her own. And it was one of those moments where, had I not gave myself the chance to root into my body and to not overreact and to not be calm and just get swept up in her chaos, we likely wouldn't have made it to that point. And a couple other really beautiful things that happened is backing up to when we first got to the simulators and she recognized how she wasn't tall enough. I got to share a personal story with her. When I was around her age, we lived in Albuquerque, and we went to this amusement park called Cliffs Amusement Park, and they have the big swings that go around and around. You had to be 48 inches tall. I was not 48 inches tall. And I remember being equally devastated. I remember being so sad and so upset and feeling like my world was crushing down around me. And I even remember my dad trying to sneak me in, like him and a friend sandwiched me between them and they like penguin walked and we got caught. They didn't let me in. And it's for my safety, right? And I just remember very, very vividly that moment and how heavy it felt and how the light around me just kind of turned dark. And I was able to share with Runa that I know what it felt like. I've been there. I even got to show her the picture of me on that swing a year later when I was finally big enough and how excited I looked. And that helped her for a moment, but it just shows the power of disappointment that if we can't find a way to give it space, it finds a way to claw out. And so sharing that with her and being able to honor her experience, but also reconnect it back to my own and give her that connection and that vulnerability to let her know she's not alone. That was a really big moment, at least for me. And it seemed to help her a little bit at that time. And then another really beautiful thing, fast forward back to the kids area, there was nobody there. So she got to ride whatever ride she wanted almost instantly. That was really fun and really cool. But as she was on one of the rides, a different worker that had witnessed her big meltdown came up to me and handed me two stickers and an air zoo flight wings, kind of like what you get on an airplane. And he says, you know, I hope this brings her some joy because we really want people that come here to enjoy themselves and to leave feeling good. And that really warmed my heart because that's the kind of stuff Runa does for other people. And oh man, that really hit me. I feel like I'm getting emotional now. Um, I watch Runa pour her heart into the world around her, and when the universe answers and reciprocates, it's a really beautiful thing to experience and to watch. And had I not rooted into my body, and had I responded the way my nervous system wanted to, we probably would have left. I probably would have got frustrated and said, you know what, fuck it, we're leaving. I'm not doing this anymore. And I've done that before. And I would have denied her that reciprocity of, you know, receiving something. And I just look at that moment and I look at just the way this week has unfolded. And when we root in our body and we listen to how she speaks to us, it is insanely powerful when we give her the space to be heard. We don't deny it. We don't change it in any way. We just give it space to be what it is. We don't judge it. And so our relationships with ourself, our children, our partners, our friends, our coworkers, our neighbors, random strangers, these relationships don't need us to be perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. We're designed to fuck up and to learn from those mistakes. What life needs from us is presence. It needs us to stop fucking bypassing, to stop letting our emotions hijack situations. It needs us to root into what's actually happening and find some compassion and some empathy for ourselves and for others. And it needs us to stop trying to put a band aid and get a quick fix for the discomfort that we feel. Because when we're here in the heart space and we're feeling big emotions and you bypass what they're actually trying to tell you, you escape back up here. The whole point of this existence is not to live up here in the upper chakras, to be happy and floaty and go lucky and all the frilly bullshit that like everybody tells you we're supposed to want. It's not all about love and joy and happiness. Those are parts of it. That isn't the whole. The goal is to take this And instead of escaping out the upper chakras, the point is to bring it down into reality. What is this pain trying to tell me? What is this weight in my chest? What is this vibration in my lungs? What is this, feeling like I want to pull my skin off? What is this telling me right now? We have to get better at sitting with those discomforts and letting them talk to us. And that's what rooting in the body is all about. So as we navigate this month and we talk about rewilding, being wild is not about being chaotic. It's not about being feral. These are all terms that I hear often, or that come to mind almost immediately when I hear the world or hear people say wild. If you think about it, think about Mother Nature, true Mother Nature that has been untouched, that has been unfucked with by human influence. Look at nature. Being wild is being balanced. Being wild is living in harmony. Being wild is understanding the flow and the cycle of things. It's not about controlling it. It's not about uh, changing any aspects of it. Nature doesn't do that. Nature has checks and balances. You have predators and prey. You have uh, plants that can kill you that look exactly like plants that will nourish you. Like, this is all part of balance. Everything is trying to survive. And being wild is honoring that we have both, and we are light and we're dark. We fuck up and we do really well. And it's about finding the balance. It's about learning at least one thing in every situation, good and bad. That's how we learn. That's how we expand. That's how we keep going and we grow. So I want to leave you with two questions, or I want to ask you two questions to reflect on. And if you feel comfortable, share them in the comments. If not, send them to me in an email. Being witnessed in these is incredibly powerful. Share them on the Facebook page, whatever feels comfortable for you. Even just journaling them, that's perfect too. But what physical signs have been asking for your attention this week? What physical things are happening in your body that are asking for your attention? Are you biting your lip? Are you picking at your nails? Is your stomach been upset? Are you feeling heavy? What is it? I just randomly noticed that I had these weird raw things in my inner part of my lip right here. I'm like, what the hell is that? When did I chew my lip? And I started watching, and I actually do it a lot when I drive because it's a repetitive task. And so my system is like, oh, okay, let's process something. So I've been chewing, which tells me there's energy there that wants to be seen. It's on the left half of my body, which is the feminine side of the body. I have a lot of stuff going on in my private life with that, reclaiming different aspects of my sovereignty as a woman. That I'll be 40 this year, and I've kind of talked about on a previous live. But I'm reclaiming my body as a woman. I've been on hormonal birth control since 18, with an IUD since I was 24, and on an IUD I don't menstruate. My body hasn't been sovereign since I started hormonal birth control. And I'm reclaiming that through supplements and removal of hormonal birth control and all that. So my body has been on a journey this last month, and it is asking me to soften and to pay attention and to listen. And so every little thing I've been noting and I've been sitting with, and I've been kind of like a friend asking it, what's going on? What are you trying to tell me? What's happening? You know, part of my anger last week is because I went so long thinking that being a woman, having a menstrual cycle was gross because of what I heard from people growing up, like having to hide your feminine products going to the bathroom in middle school, like, or high school. Um, you know, no one really sat me down and talked to me about what my body was going to be doing. So like when it happened, I was like, what is this? I did like there's no reason for this to be in my underwear right now. Like what's going on? And it just was not, it was not something that was celebrated or something I felt that was of value. The more I act like a man, the more I seemed to get praised and had value. So I did that. I silenced my feminine aspects of myself, and I lost myself in the process. I'm not doing it anymore. And that's what my anger was about. Anger is valid, but I don't need to take it out on the people around me. Find another way, process it another way. So I did 3 hours of fucking yard work and wore myself out, but I didn't hurt my family in the process. This is what rooting in the body is about. We have to take it back. So what physical signals has your body been asking for you to pay attention to? And the next question is, what part of you are you still trying to rise above instead of rooting into? What aspects of you are you trying to escape and be above and not feel and not sit with instead of rooting down into it? Before I end today's video, I want to invite you into a short practice. And I just want you to close your eyes, place your hands on your belly. And I want you to breathe down into that womb space, down into the belly. With each breath, I want you to feel your weight in your chair or wherever you're sitting. Feel that gravitational pull, Mother Earth's hug. Feel it, feel it, feel it. Keep breathing into that belly space and connect with your weight wherever you are sitting. Now I want you to ask your body, what do you need to feel rooted right now? What does your body need to feel rooted, to feel connected to Mother Earth, to bring the discomfort that sits heavy on the heart, to open it, expand it, and let it come down through the root system? Do you need to soften? Is the ground beneath you too hard and compacted that you need to give it a good soaking with water to soften it up? Maybe that means to cry. Do you need a tool? There's different types of tools for different types of digging or aerating or moving dirt. What's preventing those roots from going down? What does your body need to root down? There are no right or wrong answers. Just let your body talk to you. You may hear it, you may feel it somewhere in your body. You may have this sense of knowing, or maybe you see visions in your third eye, colors, shapes, ideas. Don't dismiss anything. When you're ready, I want you to take 3 more deep breaths into the belly space before bringing yourself back to this time and space now. When you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes. This is what it looks like to show up rooted. It's messy, it's late, but it's grounded and it's raw and it's true. It's not performative. It isn't orchestrated. It just is. So I want to thank you for meeting me here. Um, you give me the space to be real, to be raw. You allow me to be seen. And I just want you to know that your wildness isn't chaos, it's wisdom. And it's rooted. You just have to give it what it needs to dig deeper. So if you have any questions or there's anything that came up for you that you want to share, please put those in the comments. I kind of teased a little bit this concept of weird. This, oh man, it's going to be so cool when I roll this out. I'm quietly working on it in the background underneath the surface, but when this baby roots, or when once she roots and she starts to grow up out of the soil, oh, it's going to be so good. I'm so excited. You will see some changes. Very small changes in starting next week, actually, to this space and how I show up. Instead of weekly lives, I'll be going live once a week or once a month. And then that will set the tone for the month. And then we'll be rolling out different videos on these topics at different times throughout the month. So stay tuned for that. If you're not on my email list, please go ahead and subscribe. You also get access to my 3 phases of healing. what that looks like if you sign up for the email list. Otherwise, I am very grateful to have this community, to have this space, and to connect with you all. I hope you have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend and you find a way to honor your heart and to root into your body. Illumination and love. Take care.